welcome to another edition of the Lower House Debate. This debate is sponsored by the Tama Media Services, a service that provides several media components to include this edition of our Lower House Debate this evening, February 1, 2018, here in Monrovia, Liberia. This evening we're going to be looking at a discussion on whether it is necessary for non-Negro descent to own and or buy land in Liberia at this point in time. We now welcome you to this section of our debate and ask you to keep tuned as we welcome on stage our moderator, Ake Mwabo, who will take the stage from here there on. Welcome, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you so much. Let me use this time to officially add my voice to that of the voice of the presenter of the show and say good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you is right now. And we are here in Monrovia, specifically in the MVTR building. Like we said over and again, this is the Lower House Debate, and this debate is a platform provided for people to have separate views on national issues affecting our country. So those of you who have been following our national politics today we're discussing, those of you who have been following our politics in Liberia, it is clear glittering all around that there is this issue of transition that we have observed. Liberia as a country, we've come from a long way. Over 70 years, our country have now experienced a political transition from one democratically elected government to another democratically elected government. We had the opportunity after 14 years of civil unrest that took us to the 2003 Accra Peace Accord. In 2005, we had an elections. That of course, that elections by international and local observers, they all said it was peaceful, it was transparent, and that election brought to power Africa first democratic female president. Like always, Liberia have set records, and continue to set records in a good and very good way. So we had her running for 12 years. In 2011, she also had the opportunity to go to the polls and again defeat one of Liberia's best, Mr. Winston Todman. Saying all of this to give you the impression of where we've come from, where are we now, to give parliament members the opportunity to debate on critical national issues, as those are the issues for which they have been elected by their people. In 2017, the issue of elections have been a real critical issue. After over 70 years of no transitional elections, we now have the opportunity to go to the polls. Going to the poll, we have over 20 political individuals that participated in elections. And after the first round, we had the opportunity to go to a poll where the Vice President of the Republic of Liberia, Honorable President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Ambassador Joseph Yuman Boakai, went to the poll from the Unity Party against the major opponents, Ambassador George Manawia. And in that elections, you know the rest of the story. Ambassador Weah won overwhelmingly on the 26th of December. And many call that day the Boxing Day, as a day that brought Liberia's new president. So distinguished ladies and gentlemen, since his installation on the 22nd of January, he had a wonderful speech delivered at the famous Samuel Kayadu Sports Complex, and by constitution, he's responsible to present his State of the Nation address before the legislature, which he did. And this State of the Nation address, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, those of you that have not been following Liberian politics, have been categorized by a lot of controversy, like I say. You know, so the controversy all came with his own pronouncement about non-Negro descent having the opportunity or given the rights to have access to purchasing and owning land, and as well as this issue about dual citizenship, something that former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf had the opportunity to back and forth forever and could not pass. So they have created panic amongst Liberians, locally, internationally, to all of the different intellectual centers. There have been discussions surrounding this land ownership and that of this dual citizenship. We are unamended as a house of legislature of the Liberian people, specifically the 54th National Legislature, to bring to you honorable parliament members, those that will be sitting here today, to talk about the merits and demerits of the essence of having non-Negro descent given the right to buy or own land in Liberia. What does it mean for us as a country, and what the improvement it will bring to us. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to serve as your moderator. My name is Isaac Mwapu, and I'm here. I'm also the Speaker of this Parliament. Independently, I will listen to the view of my different legislators who will inform me of my decision moving forward as I represent the 54th National Legislature. Today, if you're just joining us, let me remind you that our discussion, our first discussion, is centered around Liberians. Our discussion is centered around whether we should allow non-Negro descent to be given the rights to buy or own land in Liberia. So you'll be listening to the cross-section of views from our parliament members or from our legislators who will be giving you what they think about it, because those were the reasons why their own people in their different constituents elected them. Without saying much, let me now ask you to invite your friends, your loved ones to come and join the show. This will be a very lovely and interactive time. You also have the chance to also drop your comments. It can be question, it can be inquiry, or whatever it is, and we'll read it out here so that you have the opportunity for your voice or your voices to be heard as well. Honorable ladies and gentlemen, I now present to you the lower house where we are today discussing. And again, our discussion is, should non-Negro descents be given the rights to buy or own land in Liberia? We listen to our first legislators that are arguing, and they are arguing a side which they will obviously defend, uphold, and maintain. You have my honor.
Thank you. I'm Honorable Mohammed C. I represent the lower house, and I am also from the conservative angle against the proposition, should people of non-Negro descent be given the right to buy and own land in Liberia. Permit me, honorable members and speaker, to firstly take away keywords from such a proposition or topic. Underscore the term non-Negro. According to the Wikipedia, non-Negro refers to those who are not of African descent. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, non-Negroes are also those who are not of African descent. Fast forward to the key point. Should non-Negro be given the right to buy and own land in Liberia? We are saying no, they should not be given the right to buy and own land in Liberia. Firstly, let us trace the historicity or the formation of our country, Liberia. Our country, Liberia, gained independence in 1847. July 26, 1847. We have had various forms of governance, ranging from colonial period where you have the agents, 1822 to 1839, 1839 to 1847 having the Commonwealth period headed by governors, and from 1847 to April 12, 1980 considered as the fall of the Third Liberian Republic. But there have been much more concerns. The concern has been what has been the economic gap, what has been the people participations in the governance or in the architectural process of our country in terms of decision-making process. The civil war in our country, the period of 14 civil, the civil war that lasted for 14 years has effects on our country. Economically, it has a major effect. Let us bring the economic aspect of our country. Economically, our country is a mixed economy or a dual economy. Has both elements of capitalism and communism. What do I mean by this? Private investors to some extent operate, and government to some extent has interventions to make the economy. Bringing our people into the land, meaning the Liberian people, who control bulk of the economy, dominate or dominantly controlled by the Lebanese and the Indians that we consider non-Negroes. Let us look at the gaps between the non-Negroes and the Liberians. There's a huge economic disparity between the non-Negroes and the Liberians people, meaning we the people on grounds. If you are to allow or give the right to the whites or the non-Negroes to own land or to buy land in our country, it is not going to be good for us. Now,
why, Honorable Legislator?
Yes, it's not going to be good for us.
Why?
The president, in his first inaugural message, he said, Liberians are not going to be spectators in the economy. What does that mean? Liberians businesses will be in power. Liberian businesses will be given the capital, the upper hand to compete with other people in the economic sector. And people in the economic sector refer to the non-Negroes. Now, the issue of retail and wholesale comes about. There's a big economic gap.
Honorable Legislator, you are recognized. A minute, please.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. My name is Honorable Lloyd J. Peewee, a member of this lower house. I listened very well to my fellow comrade from the conservative side. Now, you just spoke of a point that buying or giving the right to non-Negroes to buy land is going to affect our country. Let me tell you this. Looking at Liberia right now, our status economically, Liberians are very poor. And we have a very, very big space in this world called a land called Liberia. Now, if you want to deny people you refer to as non-Negroes, let's look at the term non-Negroes. He tried to define it from his own Wikipedia. That word alone, the terminology alone, is sound racist by itself. And racism right now is an act that is being preached against all around the world. If you are even a fan of soccer games, the one we call football, our black brothers that are in America and some part of the world, for every time they try to call them, you black men, you black this, you African this, the crowd sometimes filing complaints to the world for governing body, the football governing body.
So they should not be, according to him. How do you think they should be, Honorable Legislator?
Thank you. If you give the opportunity to those we refer to as non-Negroes who come into your country, it helps, it brings development. One,
wow.
Now, let's take for a typical example, I hail from Lofa. Now, from Monrovia to Lofa County, you have 223, what do I refer to as 223 miles from Monrovia to Lofa. And if you want to even develop the 223 miles, I'm a student of engineering also, it takes you $1 million United States dollars to develop just 1 mile. In discussing 223 miles. Now, look at your own country. We just received or we inaugurated a new government that came, and we have even less than 600,000 in our national.
So if we give the land to the
non-Negro, it helps bring developments. It helps bring new roads. Look at the land. Let's look at the Du River in Monserrado County. Let's look at the Du River. Let's take it back. 2002. Look at Japan. Japan hosted a World Cup where indeed this World Cup there were stadiums being built over the ocean because there was no land space. Do you know how many free lands we
A
have?
minute, honorable legislator.
Yeah,
1
Honorable
minute.
Speaker, regarding the point, he has made the debate very substantive for us.
And that is why we are
And
here.
I come from an economic analysis.
Mhm.
He made mention that our people are poor.
Mhm.
And let me bring Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels into our argument.
Mhm.
Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels were two foremost economists. They were arguing against capitalism. Now, capitalism is wherein the rich gets richer and the poor gets poorer. Now, using our country as a case study, our people on grounds are poor and the white people, or the non-Negroes, are already rich. If you give them the access to land, what will be the economic disparity? It will be a very huge disparity. What we are saying is that non-Negroes should not be given the right to buy and own land in our country. Now, let me also recommend.
So what would that mean for the commoners in Liberia, honorable legislator? Is that what you're saying, that ordinary Liberians will not have access to land?
Ordinary Liberians will not have access to land. One, because it now becomes something like an economic market. What do I mean by this? Meaning, I have the upper hand, meaning I'm going to purchase from you. You cannot even sustain yourself. And let me bring
So you cannot even sustain yourself. Let me hold you a minute, honorable legislator, and take the honorable legislator from the opposing political party.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for affording me the opportunity to have my view heard on this platform. Whether the brother regularly said that Liberians are poor, and we want to gravitate from being poor to another status. That is the reason why we are saying that non-Negroes should be given the right to purchase and own lands in Liberia. Let me give you the economic breakdown to that in supporting our ideas, that we do believe that if given then the support will gravitate Liberia from being poor to that of being rich. Now, I did a case study and I studied two different countries in Africa. We talk about South Africa, we talk about Ghana. Now, they have laws when it comes to the issue of Negro descent. They got laws to that. They have given the right to Negro descent, none of Negro descent, to have the right to purchase land in Ghana, to have the right to purchase land in South Africa. But the terms and conditions apply. One, they talk about the entrepreneurship, that is the 25%. We call it like we want to introduce 25%. But they have introduced what we call it 35% entrepreneurship. Now, that entrepreneurship serves in a term wherein if you are of non-Negro descent and you came to South Africa and purchased a land in South Africa, now, they give you two things. One, they give you infrastructure development. And that infrastructure development comes through your economic willpower. And that brings what we call employment to those that will not be employed. So for the case of Liberia, we were afraid during those days when our forefathers thought that we never had a political will. We never have the strength. We were not independent nation. So they were afraid that if you give the right to non-Negro descent, they will own all that you have. But now that we have reached the peak in life, where Liberia is no different from other countries around here that have accepted that, we think that Liberia should follow suit.
According to you, will bring economic development.
Let us go back to
a minute, honorable legislator. Let me listen to you.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Mohammed Kone, and you know, when we turn to discuss legislation that will affect the country, not just us, because maybe we can afford, but I believe the masses cannot afford. Now, the problem of Liberia have never been the issue of owning land, or non-Negro owning land. The issue of Liberia has been the governance structure. The government of Liberia have many sources or means to see how best it can develop its own country. Now, I give you the example of Singapore. There is no foreigner or someone who is not of Singapore. Now, I draw this analysis to mean because we believe that Negroes, from the liberal view, they believe they are Negroes and they want non-Negroes in a getting land in our economy. Now, for the country called Singapore and the Netherlands, they don't agree on that. Only citizens that are from the Netherlands is granted to own land. So it tells you that Singapore is one of the world's most developed countries. That is one. a high educational structure developed. Now, so if you are telling us that those non-Negroes, let's agree that you have 1,000 Americans coming to Liberia to own land. Now, land only in Liberia have been a problem. Now, if you were to look in the Grand Cayman County saga now, where the Justice Minister Frederick Cheru, he went there and he cautioned those people that the palm giant in Liberia, they lease the land from these people. They have refused to pay the benefit of these people. They have caused a chaotic situation. How much more about us allowing them to buy the land?
So
just leasing the land.
If I understand you,
just leasing the land. They have caused chaotic situation for us. How much more about buying the land from us? Now, there are a lot of other people who are non-Negro, the Lebanese, the Joe Hadar. He has married a Liberian woman, for example. Now, he comes and lease a land from a particular group of people, use a cash, go to the court, and marginalize those people because they are poor. Our economy says we are living on less than $1 a day. So if a man leaves from America or London, for example, are you telling me that that man is living on less than $1 a day?
So in the balance of the view, are you saying that without non-Negro buying lands, we can use the resources we have? Your problem is fundamentally with leadership.
Look at Honorable
Legislature, a minute, please.
Let me get the speaker.
Honorable Legislature, a minute. Let me listen to you.
Thank you very much.
Very briefly. Why?
You know, when you try to bow legs into the driving system, you get shot when sometimes you don't have the skill to dribble. When you talk about Grand Cape Mal County, I'm a son of Grand Cape Mal County, and I understand the issues land in Grand Cape Mal County. Let me take you back to the Charlie King. In the 70s, that land today have been left with the Cape Martinian. There is a very wild courage of palm. Cape Martinian call that they call it the kino palm. Today, if you get to Wangeko, from Wangeko all the way to the beach, Cape Martinian are now benefiting from that palm farm because there was an investment done. And that investment today, the people of that land enjoy that. Let me take it back to Kinjo. Let me take it back to Kinjo and
a meaning, Honorable Legislature, a meaning.
Pardon me?
A meaning.
Oh, thank you very much. Let me take it back to Kinjo and take it back to Sammy Dabi in just 30 seconds each.
Wrap up.
Sammy Dabi today, those of our land have been given to people. They are people who own those land and they pay more than 45 years due to the government. And when they went there, they negotiated with those people and the land was given to them. Now we are saying that the economic trickle-down effect, like the Charlie King found, that is one of the economic trickle-down effect we're discussing. If you plan today and leave Liberia, you will not be taking the farm back. It will give you more courage to invest more when you are giving the leverage to buy and invest in Liberia.
It will give you the leverage. Thank you. Let me hold you a bit, Honorable Legislator, and listen to the legislators from the Conservatives.
Thank you. Regarding the subject matter, we need to be very clear. You see, government is an institution set up by the people to carry out the functions for which the institution was set up. If you look at the coin, government has so many sources of generating revenue. As a student would say, taxes. A student will also say royalties. A student will also say excise duties, meaning taxes imposed on goods. But here is the argument we come from. There's something economic called the structural model theory. What does that say relating to our argument? The structural model theory is all about means of enabling a government to generate revenue. Now, if you look at our country at present situation, there is a serious crisis of argument that hang over Dura Plus, an Indian-owned business entity, where there is a serious maltreatment of the Liberian people. I have not given you the right to own land. I have not even given you that full right to have issue of conversation. What more if I gave you the right to own land and property? What becomes of the people? It becomes a disaster. Now, there is another way in which we can also go away from giving the non-Negro to buy land, to buy and own land in our country. One is the issue of education. Now, This is why the president has repeatedly said and keeps saying that one of his major concerns on his watch will be education. And with support and investment towards education,
Summarize.
we need not to give land or purchase to non-Negroes. And I consider that not to be a racist, but a very clever economic government policy.
Because that, according to you, if it is done, our people will be affected, because currently they are already being affected, where non-Negroes are already buying or purchasing. They don't have the access to buy and own land here, but they have already started doing worse to our people. Honorable Legislator from the Liberal side, let me listen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. You know, the argument is actually weighing our colleagues. Now, let's go to the issue. The problem our country faces right now is not the issue of bringing all of the economic theories and what have you that the laymen out there won't understand. Now, what I see from a colleague is they are afraid of what I refer to as competition. Now, let's take a look. A family somewhere in Bojise, where in Birose, one family owns about 350 acres of land. This land has been existing when our great-grandparents were living, non-developed. Their grandparents came, the land is still there, non-developed. They are there. And I believe this particular land will be there. It will be non-developed. Their children will come. Their children's children will come and will not be developed. Now, if you try
please have your seat. Honorable Legislator, please have your seat. Continue.
This land, if you give the right to non-Negroes to buy land, all you have to do is, if this government for which we represent the commoners rather meant good for our people, let's put into place good laws. We also some of the broker deeds that have been in past governments giving lands to Indians, Lebanese that he spoke of. We understand the kind of agreement. Look at the Firesoon land. Look at the acres of land Firesoon is covering. Because our previous government probably did not set
summarize
just 1 minute. They did not put into place the right laws to affect positively our common people. Now, all you have to do, give the right to the people, but with a particular manner. You hear my colleague.
A particular manner. What your colleague said, there must be restriction.
There must be restriction. So that you can have competition.
Let me listen to a buttress view on the Liberal side. A buttress view.
Thank you very much. You know, when we talk about law, we talk about government, we talk about state. There are three cardinal issues. You talk about state, law, and government. Now, there are basic law that we have on the people. When you talk about the Land Reform Law Act in 2008, that was passed into hand bill by the national legislature, the 53rd national legislature. Now, what comes to mind? This law gave right to a non-Negro to only lease land for 7 years. 7 years. And only to the fact that if you only gave a lease guarantee to an individual, only to the fact that he may not develop to the extent that you expect, but giving him the right to buy and own properties, you get to realize that that Lebanese or that Indian will not want to take his industry outside Liberia to another area where he might be where people might be benefiting for that side, but to cut down the cost. We don't get the cost benefit analysis. To cut down the cost and build your institutions here and stay right here, do your business, employ more people, and then get more resources outside from your own side, because only to the fact that you are now legitimate per law that guarantee you to do.
The new point created, it will not just create economic development, it will also create infrastructure, the social infrastructure. Thank you so much, Honorable Legislature. I recognize you,
Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker. Whenever you speak of development, you need to understand that development is a gradual stage.
Wrap up.
Development is a gradual stage. And regarding, he spoke about.
Thank you so much. Development is a gradual stage. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this is how we bring to an end our discussion here at the Louvre House. And here today we've been having a very heated discussion from members of the legislature. And of course, they've been discussing the issue about foreigners, non-Negroes, owning lands in Liberia. And so you listen to them, and it informed me as the speaker of this 54 national legislature to represent the interests of this body, and that interest will be adequately represented. Before then, let me turn to our honorable panelists for a word or two.
Thank you very much for viewing this wonderful debate this evening here in Monrovia, Liberia. We want to say thanks to all of you who are watching this event via Facebook. And we want to say thanks to our debaters for participating in this debate wonderfully. Now we join the panelists who will give us their own view of how the debate went on. Honorable panelists, the turn is yours to make your own contribution.
All right. Thank you very much. My name is Marcus Mewipia. I'm serving as one of the panelists for this unique debate. Well, the debate was splendid, and actually we were able to obtain some knowledge, something we have not heard before, and some interaction has been taking place between citizens and investors, and we see it as a good one, and thanks to the organizer. Well, for the conservatives, I understand that probably it could be that they are new lawmakers, so the rules were not followed in totality. But as it relates to their argument, the issue about land purchase and how it benefits the citizen is highly economical. And so in such a discussion, you must have some economical knowledge to proffer your argument. And I understand that the panelists from their side had the leverage from the economic standpoint. And so in more instances, they were able to set example on the marginalization of those foreign dealers or the foreign investors on the citizens. They made mention of citizens being marginalized at the Dura Plus and other places. And if you ask citizens in the Republic of Liberia, sometimes you hear, if you decide to do an opinion poll, you hear them saying such a thing. And so their argument actually went in the right direction. And so because of that, I was able to give them 50%. Now, for the guys from the liberal angle, they were much more cognizant of the rules and regulation. They were properly diving into the issue. But then, after they have told us that shedding our land is beneficial to us, they were not able to categorically tell us what the Sand Derby has done for the people of Liberia or the people of Cape Mount. What has the people of Liberia benefited from the people of Firestone or the organization called Firestone? So they fell short in exactly giving us those information. And so because of that, I felt that they were not too strong in defending their argument. And so I gave them 25%. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm Musa M. Kamara, and I really admire the debate from the upper house and the Labor and the ESCON debate was fun, but that those that stood that the debate, they said that the land shouldn't be sold to the non-Negroes. And what I took from the first speaker, he stood and he said, yes, if you give the land to the Negroes, the non-Negroes, they will marginalize our people. And he gave example. And the example was good. He defended why he denied the non-Negroes receiving our land. That was excellent. And the second speaker gave the example of Cape Mount County, in which I took are giving a grade upon that, where the white people deny our people for their pay and even treat our peoples on the farm. Then I went to laborers. The first speaker tried, and the second speaker spoke poor, and the first speaker came second again, and he couldn't defend because he gave an example. But in giving an example, he gave a bad latches to himself. So the laborers got 40 points, and the executive got 70 points. So I admired the debate from the upper hall. Thank you for your debate.
Ladies and gentlemen, we say thank you very much for viewing this debate, the lower house debate organized by the Tama Media Services. As we earlier told you, today is February 1, 2018, and indeed it's a continuation of our regular debate here every week. Maybe sometime we bring it twice, maybe sometime once, maybe sometime thrice, but what be the case, we will bring you a debate at least once a week. So once again, thanks to you for viewing this wonderful event, and thanks to our people who participated in the debate from the lower house, liberal and conservative. Once again, thanks to you, and we say keep viewing as we take a break to come back with the final segment or edition of this debate on today, February 1, 2018. Again, my name is Edwin Benson, the presenter. Please stay tuned as we take a break from this debate and come back to continue on the next topic. Thank you so much.